Hello and welcome to Market Talks, a series of podcasts presented by Argos addressing the events impacting commodities and the energy sector in Brazil and around the world. My name is Camila Dias, I'm Argos Brazil Country Manager, and in today's episode I talk to Gisele Augusto, reporter for the Argos Brazil Grains and Fertilizer publication, about Brazilian fertilizer market highlights in 2022 and the forecast for 2023. Welcome, Gisele.
Hi Camila, it's a pleasure to be here.
Gisele, 2022 was an eventful year for the fertilizer market, and what are the expectations for early 2023?
There are mixed trends in the macronutrients market, Camila. Higher fertilizer carryover stocks and low demand are set to keep pressuring down nitrogen and potash-based fertilizer prices. A major part of the volume needed for these two nutrients to plant 2022-23 crops was bought in the recent months or are already in landing stocks. For phosphates, the reminiscent amount to be traded and the decrease in barter rates, especially for soybeans, are expected to maintain the increase in prices through the first quarter 2023.
Gisele, you mentioned lower barter rates, fundamental to keep phosphate prices high. How will this move affect the market?
First, we need to remember that barter transactions are Brazil's major way to finance agricultural crops, consisting of exchanging 1 metric ton of inputs, as seeds, fertilizers, or pesticides, that will be used to grow a determined crop for a portion of the production. Higher grain prices are decreasing fertilizer costs in the past 2 months, pressured the ratio down to the lowest level since September 2021, and it's almost 27 bags per ton below the same period last year in Mato Grosso. This is motivating farmers to conclude new deals for 2023-24 soybean crop after purchases were slow up to October. The return of the demand is driving suppliers to increase their offers to the market.
How are high phosphate prices affecting Brazil's domestic market, Gisele?
Farmers are increasing deals in the domestic market as they are concerned about new prices hikes. Farmers are targeting phosphate-based fertilizer deals for the 2023 and 24 soybean crop, which will be planted in next September. MAP prices are now at $720 per ton for Rondonópolis, after reaching more than $1,500 in late March. Meanwhile, prices for SSP 18 to 23% in early December were 41% below the same period a year earlier, but there are indications of higher prices for deliveries in the second quarter of 2023. Market participants affirm that there are a lot of inquiries for delivery in April and May 2023 in Rondonópolis, mostly for 23% concentration, while in Paranaguá, the concentration offered to the market is only 18.5%.
Gisele, and what is expected for urea in early 2023?
Urea prices are set to continue their downward trend in the first quarter as demand for the 2022-23 winter crops drops. Some stability can come if India issues a new urea purchase tender in January. Market participants estimate that the Asian country's demand is about 700,000-800,000 tons for January. In the Brazilian imports market, 2022 was marked by the competition between different origins for granular urea, with sanctioned sources pressuring down prices and stimulating some demand in mid-December. Urea reached a record high in parts of the year, with natural gas and raw materials prices leading to shutdowns in nitrogen-based European units. This scenario can continue to add volatility in the market, but in general, the tendency is for stability. In the Brazilian domestic market, last-minute purchases are expected in early 2023, but overall, low demand and a consequent surplus of urea in Brazil's warehouses in the fourth quarter of 2022 will maintain the drops in prices, with only small corrections expected.
Gisele, Russia and China have recently put quotas and duties over their exports. How will these measures affect Brazil?
Market participants don't expect the measures to affect the Brazilian market in 2023, as they don't believe in a tight supply globally for fertilizers. In December, Russia published a decree confirming a duty of 23.5% to be applied over the difference between $450 per ton and the value of the exports. These duties will be applied in nitrogen, phosphate, and potash fertilizers. Furthermore, Russia also extended the fertilizer quotas in place since July until 31 May 2023. Total quotas will sum up to 11.8 million tons, including urea, nitrate, MAP, NPK, and NPs. As for China, export quotas are expected to be put in place for phosphate-based fertilizers.
Gisele, still in the nitrogen-based spectrum, what is your overview for ammonium sulfate in early 2023?
Well, from January to November, Brazil imported 33% more AS than a year earlier, amounting 4.3 million tons. China represents 19% of those deliveries. Another source for both granular and standard AS to Brazil is Europe, but shutdowns and raw material prices made offers to the Brazilian market vanish. The higher availability of AS in the market and more attractive prices, considering the value of nitrogen point in urea versus the sulfates, led to an increase in Brazilian imports. In the domestic market, farmers substitute granular urea for AS, especially in NPK blends, in an attempt to save money. In Brazilian ports, AS prices stabilized in the last 2 to 3 weeks, with only marginal variations as the downward trend in urea and the purchase window for application in the winter corn crop is almost done. Importers are now looking for cargoes from China for February and March, especially to be applied in fruits and vegetables, while some unsold volumes en route to Brazil may cover some demand for the corn sowing in Mato Grosso.
Great, Gisele. The market was concerned about potash availability this year. What were the consequences of these worries to the Brazilian market?
Earlier in 2022, Brazil was receiving a high volume of potash bought in the last semester of 2021 from Belarus. In late February, when the conflict between Russia and Ukraine started, Brazilian importers were concerned over the fertilizer availability as Russia is a main supplier to Brazil. In the period, Belarus declared force majeure of its global deliveries and halted shipments. Therefore, Brazilian importers had to rush to guarantee volumes for the 2022-23 crops, despite the high prices. Potash price reached $1,188 per ton CFR, the highest level recorded by Argus.
Gisele, did the potash purchases increase on the year after this rush from Brazilian importers?
In the first semester 2022, Brazil imported 8.4 million tons of MOP, more than 2 million above the same periods in 2021. Once farmers realized that they would have enough products for the crops, sales in the domestic market vanish and inland stocks start to grow. To attract demand, sellers start to reduce prices in CFR bases and in the domestic market. Many reduced their margins to clear storage space for other fertilizers. The trend extended through the second half of the year with only occasional deals reported. The expectation is that the slow pace will prevail in early 2023 as farmers wait for lower prices and the decreasing barter rates. Market participants estimate that Brazil has a carryover of 2.9 million tons only for potash. According to the Global Trade Tracker data, Brazil usually imports an average of 2 million tons in the first quarter of the year. This means that the country should have more inland potash than it usually consumes in the quarter, which will also maintain prices pressured.
Gisele, what is the market's overall expectations for deliveries in 2023?
Well, Camila, for carryover stocks, the estimates are at around 11 million tons of macronutrients, which will drive the slow start in 2023 for imports. For this year, market participants expect that Brazil increase deliveries to around 43 million tons, but that will depend on how the crops will develop in the next months.
Great, thanks a lot, Gisele. These and other episodes of our podcast are available on the Argus website at www.argusmedia.com. Visit the page to follow the events that affect global commodity markets and understand their developments in Brazil and in Latin America. We'll be back soon with another edition of Market Talks. See you soon.